Hi and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show you quickly how to configure the indicator, the Pipnotic supply and demand indicator, and also how to perform a top-down analysis. So let's have a quick look at the configuration. Once it's installed, you'll see that there's a little padlock here. If you click on this padlock, it'll simply take you to the Pipnotic website, and it should be drawing lines once you've installed it and configured it properly. So let's have a quick look at the configuration. You can see here I have one instance of it running just here, and we'll just run through the settings here. We have the enabled dashboard set to true, as you can see here. So the dashboard is showing us what's going on with regard to the swing points on all of the time frames available on MT4. And we are displaying some range information. So we have 5-day average daily range, so it's taking 5 times the previous 5 days average daily range divided by 5, adds them together, divides them by 5, and this gives us this value here, the 178. And then it has another value, which is the second value, which is a CUR, which stands for current, and this is telling us what the range of this pair has done today so far. So we have reached 153 pips today compared to the 178 of the 5-day average daily range. Then we have a third parameter, which is the percentage here, which is 30%, which is equal to 53. So 30% of 178 is 53. And this is shown to us just up here. And this is maybe interesting to use in relation to session close, trades like London close and stuff like this. And then I have the enable supply and demand levels set to true. The next important setting, supply and demand significance, I have this set to 2, which is good because it gives us solid areas of supply and demand that we can consider when trading. And I have a supply and demand bar count set to 377. This is just a Fibonacci number. You can use whatever you want, but I recommend that you keep it below 500 to help the indicator a little bit, because there's a lot of calculating going on all the time, and if this is up on 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, you have maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 instances of the indicator running. You'll notice that that your MT4 terminal will perhaps be a little bit sluggish. So just keep this in mind. We have our grid period multipliers, which is set to 0,1, 2, and this corresponds to the different time frames. The 0 corresponds to the current time frame, the 1 corresponds to the current time frame plus 1, and the 2 current time frame plus 2. So it's showing us 3 different supply and demand readings. And for the 4-hour chart, this is going to be the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly. And you can see, if you look at the chart here, we can see what the levels are based on the colors. So we have the blue lines here, which correspond to the 4-hour levels. We have the red ones, which correspond to the daily levels, and we have the orange, which corresponds to the weekly levels. Then I have enable accumulation bars set to true, and that's that. So this is running, and this is what it looks like. And so if everything is running correctly, it should look something like this. If you have the accumulation bar set to true, but you're not seeing these lovely candles or these bars, then you have to do this. You have to ensure that if you right click on the chart and select properties, or just press F8, this will bring up the configuration options for the chart itself. And you go to the common tab, and chart on foreground should not be selected. If I just show you what happens here, we can say chart on foreground and press OK, and you'll see all the accumulation bars, they disappear. So it's important that this is unchecked. And then you'll see that all of the bars show up nicely, because this setting puts the chart itself on the background and enables the indicator to draw these objects on the foreground and on top of the bar chart. So that's that. Pretty simple, I think. So if you continue on and perhaps perform a top-down analysis, but depending on how many pairs you're trading, you might want to select 3 time frames that suit your needs. I like to trade on the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour because this really slows things down for me. And so my longer term chart is going to be the weekly, my medium term is the daily, and my short term is the 4-hour. So if we have a quick look at, for example, the Aussie yen here, and we start our analysis on the weekly chart, we want to be looking for the trend here. Of course, the dashboard is going to give you a pretty good indication of what's going on just by looking at the arrows, as you can see. But we also want to be able to do this stuff ourselves. You can see that we can draw some very clear swing points. We have this high. We'll start from here. We'll do that again. That wasn't very pretty. The freehand is not that easy. Okay. You see it looks a little bit like this, skipping all of the minor bumps in the road. And so you can see that we have lower lows and lower highs. We have a high here, the 2 most recent swing highs and swing lows. So we have this one and this one, which is the most recent swing highs. And the reason we're not using this one here is because when price moved away from this high, it was not able to move below this swing low. And so this one we cannot use for drawing trend lines. So we have to go back and find 2 that we're able to move below, which is these 2 here. We have the first one and the second one here. So now we can draw a trend line which would go from here to here, which would look something like that. So this tells us that we are in a downtrend on the weekly. Okay, so now we go to the daily and we do the same thing here. We can see that we have some more swing points. We'll start from here. We went up, down, up, down, up, and now price is moving lower here. And we can again see that we have this swing high, and this swing high, and this swing low, and we also have where price is currently. So we can ask ourselves, when price left this and formed the low, was the following swing high able to move lower than the previous swing low? Yes, it was. So this gives us, it qualifies this one. Then we have to go back one, and we just find the previous swing high, which is this one here. So we have the 2 here. You can also number them like so, 1 and 2, whatever you like. And this enables us to draw another trend line which is descending, which would look like that. Again, which confirms the daily trend. So we've done the daily, we've done the weekly, and now we can go down and look at the 4-hour. But before we do this, I think it's important we have a look at some broken trend lines, because you can see here that we would be able to draw an upward trend line because we had, we'll start from down here, we had this swing low, and this swing high. So we have the first swing low, second swing low, and here we have our swing high, and price has moved above it, which took this one out. So this enables us to draw an upward trend line which looks like that. Oops. Looks something like that, which we can see is now broken, which confirms this area of supply as indeed supply, because this area of supply was responsible for breaking the trend line. So if we do this using an MT4 object, you can see that it might look something like this, something like that, and you can see how we had swing high, swing low, another swing high up here, and then price managed to move below and beyond the trend line. So this qualifies this one up here. So we could draw our area of supply just up here, which is signified nicely with this line here, which is the orange one, which is a weekly level, and this red one here, which is a daily level. So these two are actually overlapping, so we have a nice convergence of a daily and a weekly area of supply. So this is a nice and interesting for us. We also have this stuff in the middle, which on a higher time frame will be some kind of a continuation pattern. Price moved lower, consolidated, and moved lower, but we want price to move away and hold before we have a retest. If price kind of comes down and then immediately immediately kind of pulls back, then we know that there's not enough power or muscle in this area of supply to keep price lower. So you want price to come down, consolidate, and then move away, and then stay away from the area before it comes back. And then of course we would sell once price comes back into here. So this is something you want to look for. Not all of these areas of supply and demand are valid. You can see that the indicator draws an awful, like a lot of them, depending on the settings of the indicator, but not all of them are valid. So it's important that you are able to properly qualify these areas. Okay, so you can see we have the weekly downtrend. We have a daily downtrend. You can see here, signified here. We have a daily trend line that has been broken, so this is a very clear downtrend on the weekly and the daily. So let's go to the 4 hour and have a quick look. Let's remove these. So if we do the same here on the 4 hour, we can see that we have a similar thing going on. We have a high, a low, a new high, and a new low. And so we have the first swing high, the second swing high. We have our swing low, which has been taken out as price managed to move below. And so this enables us to use these 2 points as our trend line. So you want to do that like so. Like this. This is our trend line on the 4 hour. And you can see, if you go to the smaller time frame, maybe the hour, which we shan't do, you can see that we have a 1 hour and even a 4 hour trend line that has been broken to the downside, just like we saw on the daily chart. And this looks like this. How we have a low, we have a high, a low, and a high. So we were able to draw our trend line from here to here. And then price managed to dump below, which broke the trend line, which again confirms the fact that we have a downtrend on the 4 hour. Okay, there's something very important that I want to talk about before we continue, and that is that in order to qualify a downtrend, you want to be able to draw a trend line. And so if you don't know if you can draw a downtrend or an uptrend, or you're having difficulties identifying the trend, the best thing to do is to go back and look at trend lines. So you want to identify the most logical or the clearest swing highs and swing lows. We have one here, we have one here, we have one here, here. I'll just circle a few of these. And then price is currently down here. And so you can see that we are moving lower. Then you take the two most recent, and then you can connect those. But the most recent price must move below the previous swing low if you're in a downtrend. And if you're in an uptrend, price must move higher than the previous swing high. And if this is not the case, then you're not in a downtrend, then you're simply in perhaps a consolidating market or something like this. But you can see very clearly again here we have this high and this high. And this one we can use because when price left it, it moved below this swing high, this swing low. So we can draw an area of demand in here, which has been taken out. You can see how price moved above. We had a test, two tests, 1, 2, and then price held above, and then price has consumed this area. So this one is now gone. So there's nothing to keep price from continuing lower. And then you have to ask yourself, what area of supply was it that is responsible for taking this area of demand out? Then you have to look back, and you can begin to look and say, we have something small going on here, which looks like this. We'll draw it like a fat area, which looks something like that. When price left here, it left like a freight train and dumped. And you can see we have some pretty big moves through and beyond this area. But this is pretty wicky, so this is not an ideal area. And so you might want to move, look a little bit higher to find the point of origin for this move, which brings us up to this. So when price left, let's say something, it looks maybe something like that. So currently, this would be the area that we would be looking to sell at. And the beauty about this is that it may very well overlap nicely with the backside of this trend line. So this trend line once and if price manages to come back up. So if it does something like this, before continuing lower like so. So this is maybe something that we could be looking at. And so you want to be able to connect trend lines. And if you are not able to connect trend lines because the rules don't allow it, then you're likely not in a trend. You're likely consolidating. I hope this is clear. If it's not, you're welcome to ask either Vic or myself to explain this in greater depth. But I will cover this in a coming Coach's Corner session, just to make it a little clearer. So again, you can see that we are in a very clear downtrend on this currency pair. I think just for fun, we'll choose something else to have a closer look. Again, we'll start on the weekly and we'll do an analysis of this pair and see what's going on. Okay, so we'll zoom in a little. Starting, we'll go on the weekly, on the monthly, and you can see that we have this area of supply which has been taken out by kind of this area. Oops, wrong tool. This area of demand here. And so price, and we have this one here. This managed to push through the area, so this is actually the area that this move originated from, and so there's nothing from stopping price to continue higher. We'll likely get perhaps a pullback. We've already consumed this area here, so maybe a look lower, maybe something here, or further down, something in and around here, maybe something like this. So a push lower before maybe moving up higher. Nobody really knows, but that's what we're looking at here on this. And so again, it's very important that let me see how much data we have. We don't have a whole lot. So you can see that we've taken this out, and price is actually, the highs here have moved. They've taken out all of this and any supply that was in here, and so the next reference point is correctly marked off by the indicator. We have a high up here, which is still quite far away at the moment, but it probably looks something like this on the monthly. And of course, if you go down to the weekly, day, and the 4, you'll be able to drill this down and find a more precise area. But you'll also find that along in this move down here and this one, you'll find there'll be a lot of continuation patterns on the lower time frames, which will also be ripe for trading. So okay, good. So we have established on the monthly that we are in an uptrend. We have a high, we have a low, a high, kind of a higher low, and a higher high, and so prices moving up quite strongly here. We go to the weekly for some refinement. You can see a little bit clearer what's going on. So we'll just draw some of these swing points. We have from here. Oops, wrong tool. Go from here to here. And this just makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. And so you can see that we have this swing high, and this swing high, and we have the lows. So the demand is being taken out, we're moving, we're getting lower lows. But could we use this one here as a point in our trend line? No, we cannot. Why? Because price did not manage to move below this. And so this one has been disqualified, or it's not yet valid. So the two that we would use is this one and this one. So we have a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. So this is ideal downtrend formation that's currently underway. So we'll use the trend line tool. We'll draw from here to here. Looks something like that. So that looks pretty interesting, I think. And then up to this, on the move up to this, you can see that we could have drawn an ascending trend line from here to maybe around here or so, or maybe even like down here to here, something like that, something roughly like this, where price has managed to move below and break the trend line. What area of supply is responsible for breaking a trend line? This one, this area up here. Let me change the color. like that. You can see this one up here a bit clearer, not clear at all. There we are. So we have this area here, and price, you can see how price has already dipped into it just here, and this area of supply held, and now we are seeing a move lower. So this area of supply is currently dictating the direction of price. We have a thicket of price here that price will have to move through in order to get below. But as soon as price has moved below this, below these lows here, there's nothing to stop price from continuing lower until we get kind of in and around here. Okay, so we can see that we have a broken trend line on the weekly, which shows that price is moving lower. We have a descending trend line, so we have a technical downtrend on the weekly. We go to the daily. Let's remove these trend lines. We can do the same thing over again, and we have a high, a low, another high, and price is currently moving lower. So again, let's have a look. We'll use this tool and we'll go like this. So it looks like that. So we have, actually that's incorrect because this one is higher than this one. So this is important to note because of the two most recent. And so you have to ask yourself, if we have higher highs and higher lows, or lower lows and lower highs. So we have lower lows and lower highs. This is the first high that is higher, the second high which is lower than the previous, and then we have this low just here which has been moved through by this once price left number 2. So we can actually draw a descending trend line on the daily, which would look like that. So that's looking pretty interesting for us. And if we have a look here, you could probably draw a trend line from here, like a sharp trend line from roughly from here to here, which is now broken, and you can see how price has moved up. It tested this area of supply, and now is moving lower, and so we have a technical downtrend. So now you go to the 4-hour chart and you do the same thing once again. So we'll take our fat tool, and these screen drawers like Camtasia, which is what I'm using, are really useful for doing this, and you can do like quick sketches. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see more price. So we can see that we have this high, so we have a pretty strong price. So we have this one here, we have this one here. So we have the 1, 2, we have a low. So this would go like this. We have a very strong and aggressive trend line here. So the trend line would look like that, here to here, and it's being respected. So we have a downtrend on the 4-hour. So now we want to find areas where we might have a reaction, and you can see that on a shorter time frame. You could probably see that we'd have an ascending trend line here, and price managed to break through, and the area of supply that was responsible, it's not a very pretty area, is this one just up here, which is marked off by the daily level and the 4-hour level. So this is a likely reaction point. Also, it might come into the backside of this trend line, but we are in a very clear downtrend for the time being. But again, before you start selling, you want to find out where you are in relation to demand. Do we have any big areas of demand that we are selling into? Are we selling into monthly or weekly demand? If this is the case, then you might want to pass on the trade, or you might want to be quite conservative with respect to targets and stuff like that. So just be a little bit mindful of that. And you can just complete the process over and over again. If we take, we'll just zip through the pound very quickly. Where are we? We are moving. So we have here. I'll do it very quickly. Here we have a trend line here on the daily. Sorry, on the monthly, which is broken. You can see it hadn't to go, and it was kind of a false breakout, and it came back in and kept moving lower. So we had a low, high, higher low, and a higher high, and now price is moving through it. So you broke through a trend line. So on the monthly, we're kind of transitioning in a period of transitioning. On the weekly, you can see that we can't use this high yet because price has not moved below this low. So the trend line for the time being would probably have to be on these small swing points here. So actually kind of maybe something a little bit like that. We have a broken trend line here, from here to here, roughly. How price, we have a low, high, higher low, higher high. Price moved through it, consolidated, and then moved below. And so we've broken the weekly trend line, so we're going down. So we go to the daily. You can do this very, very quickly with a bit of practice. So you go to the daily, and you can see again we're having a very nice clear downtrend on the daily. High, low, lower high. Prices move below the previous swing low, so we have a connection from here to here. Another thing here is on the 4 hour. If we go down, you'll probably find that we have a broken trend line here, which qualifies a few areas of the supply. We have this one here. We also have this one here. So this overlaps nicely with the backside of this trend line. Sorry, on the proper side of this trend line. So a retracement to this area here might be quite interesting, because this area of supply is what managed to take out this swing low here. So there's a bit of clout in this area, just in here. So, but this is the point of origin, just up here. So perhaps a reaction like this would maybe make for a sell. Again, if you want to wait for confirmation, you can wait for the trend line here to be broken and then sell. Oops, sorry. And you can sell on the area of supply that breaks the trend line, and so it look like that before price continues lower. Anyway, I could go on for hours, but I don't want to make this video much longer, so I think I'll leave it at that. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions about the process or the configuration of the indicator, or the indicator in any way, please either contact Vic or myself, and we'll be pleased to bring you up to speed. Thanks very much for watching.